America Meditating Radio, a show for everyone to learn more about this amazing thing called life. America Meditating Radio Show. We collect wisdom, inspire each other, and empower hearts on demand 24/7. Hi everyone, I'm Sister Jenna, host of the syndicated America Meditating Radio. We bridge divides, we seek deeper meaning, and we answer life's most compelling questions from experts around the world. Because in a world of uncertainty and division within and out, we will need answers right here, right now. Join me and guests on America Meditating Radio, a show for everyone to learn more about this amazing thing called life. Om Shanti. The time that we choose to be aware doesn't necessarily require me to just sit and meditate. But even while I walk and move around, I can be in a meditative awareness, which is awareness of the soul, the original, eternal, imperishable being of light. For a little while, I'd like to invite you to be present, to be here, and to be now. Allow your mind to settle in the moment, to relax. This meditation is about awareness. It's about becoming aware of your original and eternal self. It's about connecting to your truth. Let go of your name. And observe yourself feeling nameless. Let go of your gender to discontinue thinking you're a man or a woman. Let it go and observe how you would feel walking around without a gender. Let go of the role that you play and let go of the titles that you own. Observe how you're feeling as you are gradually letting go. Let go of your religion and put it aside just for now. And let go of your nationality and even the language that you're accustomed to. Imagine you have no name, gender, role, title, religion, nationality, or even a language. Ask yourself, how do you feel at this moment? And in this feeling, who would think of you? And who would you think of? The Supreme Soul would think of you. And you, the liberated soul, would think of the Supreme. In this state of absolute freedom, I am truly who I am. A free, peaceful, pure, immortal, and eternal soul. Allow yourself to just be absorbed in this awareness. At this time. Welcome everyone to America Meditating Radio. That was Letting Go. Did you like that? Hope it got you into the zone as well. I'm your host, Sister Jenna. It's always a delight when we can take 30 minutes or so out of the day to amplify our vibrations to match what we deeply feel is who we are. I gave a wonderful lecture at the Meditation Museum last night, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but it was all about staying strong in the midst of change and remaining unshakable. But the whole focus was on my thoughts vibrating at the level that I deeply believe I need to be in. And a lot of times when we look at our lives, we wish for something, we want something, we believe we deserve something, whether it's a relationship, whether it's financial stability, whether it's the health of the way that we want to feel physically, or just our surroundings. And yet, if we look deep within our beings and really are honest with our thoughts and our thinking pattern, we might realize that we're not even vibrating anything near what we think we wish to walk into. And so my, deepest feeling for all of us now is to really think about the level of our vibrations. What am I vibrating out into the world? What's my presence communicating? Gandhi left us with a beautiful life quote that Gandhi said, "My life is my message." And so perhaps here now we can say, my thoughts, the vibration that I bring into a room, that's my message. That's my message. And now, everyone, our next special guest, Marla Maples, offers a special prayer for our humanity from her Endless album. Here is A Prayer for Humanity. Enjoy as we get ready to have a heart-to-heart conversation with the beautiful Marla Maples.
This is a prayer to humanity, a calling out to the world, to embrace the love that we are, the love that we are as a whole. One spirit flows through us all, uniting us in a breath, in the wind, the sky, the sea, the earth, a breath of eternity. Together we can create heaven on earth. We can rise on the wings of angels. We are free. Feel the divine presence. This is heaven on earth. Believe it. Step into the freedom. See the vision. Be the vision. Eternity is now.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a prayer for humanity. Wasn't that deep and timely and definitely heartfelt? And today we have a special guest on the air, Marla Maples, who I consider beautiful from the inside out. Marla got her start as an overachieving student, athlete, and homecoming queen who attended the University of Georgia before heading to Big Apple, New York City, to pursue a career in the arts where she firmly secured her place in popular culture. And in 1999, Marla relocated to Southern California with her daughter, Tiffany Trump, in tow to focus on finding a quieter, more spiritual existence. The longtime spiritual seeker released her first album, The Endless, featuring Deepak Chopra, our wonderful brother, our lovely friend, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and Michael Bernard, my buddy, all of my buddies, and hosted a talk show radio called Awakening with Marla, with specialists from the natural wellness world. Now, with Tiffany having grown up and graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 2016, she made her triumphant return to the spotlight, tangoing her way through season 22 of Dancing with the Stars, co-hosting The View, The Doctors, and Good Day New York, performing on Ballando Con Le Steele in Rome, Italy. As you can see, she stayed in the arts. Marla is happily in New York again, where she continues to act, write, and host while sharing her love of helping others create a healthy and joyful life. Now, I'd like to share with all of our listeners that I want to begin the show and let you know how Marla and I met. O Network sent out an invitation to attend a taping of Oprah Winfrey's Super Soul Conversation at the Apollo in New York City. And it was at that event that we first met. And from our initial encounter, I can tell you I immediately, and we both actually immediately, began to talk about spirituality, meditation, and life. So this is why I felt Marla was the perfect fit for the AM radio show. And even though Marla is the former wife to President Donald Trump, which I'm sure must be a powerful time for her and her family to navigate through all the news and the media hype, I suspect and I truly believe Marla has a stable and powerful anchor that keeps her safe and above it all. So now it gives me great privilege to open the show with our beautiful guest, Marla Maples, because I think we are kindred spirits. Marla, welcome to the air.
Oh, my dear Jenna, thank you. Thank you so much. That was the most beautiful introduction. Yes, I will say, even upon our meeting briefly in between wonderful interviews for the Super Soul Conversations, our hearts were just locked to one another. I just wanted to hug you.
I think we did hug each other, actually.
And we did. You know, it's such a beautiful gift in our life where we can meet souls that maybe we don't know in this 1% dimension or have not met before, and have that kindred spirit that brings us together. And what I feel, you know, it makes the world more joyful is when you lock into each other and you feel that love that transcends anything else that's going on the planet.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it's safe to say these times are so powerful because we can go to somewhere like the Apollo Theater and have a heart-to-heart conversation with Oprah in the room, Trevor Noah, Yara Sahidi, and so many more, and talk about life and talk about things that can elevate us and make us into better people. It's such an alive time, don't you think?
Oh, I believe I was born as an awakener, and we are living a time of awakening. And we see what's happening around us now, and people that really didn't even know what their voice was or have a voice before are now speaking out, and we're allowing ourselves to speak. And you have wonderful guests that you acknowledge this, and I know I've listened to your beautiful music and some of your meditations, and we know how important it is to express our voice. And I feel that this is the time of the awakening, so it's really an exciting time.
Yes, and amen, alleluia, shalom, om shanti, to all of that. Let's create a context here to offer our listeners a little bit of insight into your journey. I understand that You were born in Calcutta. Would you believe when I got the paper, I was saying she was from Calcutta, you know?
Well, I have a little bit of an Indian soul, but I've never been to India. But I definitely have some Native American blood running through me. So that's the Calcutta. Yeah, Calcutta.
So here you are from Calcutta, Georgia. Your population 661. I mean, I'm in a room with a bunch of folks. It's like 600 people, and you're living in a town. What was that like?
Well, barely could even call it a town. Let's just say there were a lot of farms, a lot of cattle grazing. I grew up next to a dairy farm, matter of fact, and there were, I think, within like a 3-block radius, there were 1, 2, 3, at least 3 churches, and no red lights whatsoever at all. And still to this day, no red lights. So it was, I think, if you believe that the soul journeys in and is born at the place it needs to be born at a time for what its lessons are, I mean, what a gift to really be born in a small town America. I was in the core of the Bible Belt, raised by parents who really loved God. My father was a deacon and a choir director. My mother taught Bible school. He was the most handsome. She was the most beautiful. They could have done anything in the world, but they literally, they chose family first. And they raised me with so much love and in a community where we had each other's backs and we believed in God. Now, yes, it was a Southern Baptist way of life, and that being in the core value of my being, started me on a journey to really know God. So from that place of being in this, it was only 500 people, by the way, when I was born, so it's grown with leaps and bounds since I left. So, it gave me a base to go forward on, but I always wanted to know, well, if people weren't born like I am, how can we expect everyone to be born as I am and have the knowledge or the lessons that I was born with? I can't believe they aren't going to heaven because they don't believe just like me. I've got to discover how other people find God. So that was really, that and sports. God and sports were really what was my focus growing up and as I went on in my adventure in life.
That's incredible because, I'm visualizing this as being so protected and so safe and in such an environment that is familiar. And then there you go off on your own to the Big Apple, New York City. And I'm curious to find out, what were your thoughts? Were you finding the appeal to explore more from what you were watching on television, what you heard on the radio? What was happening in your soul that said, I want to explore, I want to get out there, I want to see more? What took you to New York City?
I was always a seeker, and I needed to know more. Yeah, I had this beautiful, embracing family. But, families, nothing's ever perfect there. We went through our time of sorrow with my parents divorcing and my grandmother dying when my first year in college. And, you working through your issues. My parents divorcing was a very hard thing for me. So then I started seeking outside of, what does this mean? What does this mean as a Southern Baptist that your parents have divorced? How do I make sense of all this? So I started looking for answers outside of my faith. And from there in college, I met beautiful girlfriends we helped expand each other's thinking a lot more. And, with every relationship, it seemed like I was growing and I had more questions and more questions. So as I worked in the industry as an actor in Atlanta, I had opportunities to either go to California or New York to learn more. And I was that little girl from small town who wanted to know it all. What better place than to go to New York, where it is just a melting pot of people from all over the world and every faith. So for me, it was kind of twofold. It was sort of like escaping my roots a bit to learn who I was outside of my comfort zone, while also learning what makes other people thrive and believe and have their joys and their pain and their heartaches. I wanted to know so much more about this entire world. And then I stepped into New York City when I was just before my 21st birthday. There I came, and I began my journey studying acting here. I was already in the Screen Actors Guild. as an actor in Atlanta and did a couple of films in North Carolina. So I wanted to continue studying here, continue my education, and have a chance to do well. My father had made a lot of money and lost a lot of money, and I had this sense of I want to care for my family, and I wanted to do well, make everyone proud while having these new experiences.
And that you have. I wanted to talk about your interest in health, diet, meditation. You look great. And to be honest with you, when I first met you, and I've told this to Alex Lambert, who's now designing Italian-made scarves, and I told people, can I tell you, I've been in this country for 50 years. I don't, and you have to forgive me if I sound extremely ignorant, but because you're spiritual, you're going to love me anyway. So I remember telling people, can I tell you, this is the prettiest Caucasian I've ever met.
Oh.
And I just said to folks, and I don't even ever speak like that. I just looked at her and I said, wow, I've seen her before in television, but nothing beats her in person. And so not only did I sense that, physically you're just so pretty, but your spirit is pretty. And I'm connecting that to perhaps just the way you're living internally. And so there's a big, big interest for health and diet and, having a very holistic approach towards life. Could you speak a little bit about why is that become so important to you, or has it always been there in your journey?
Thank you so much. So beautiful. Thank you. I was taken by your beauty also, so thank you. Yes, you could say sports were important to me, so in order to be good at that, I needed to feel my best, and I started learning about food and its effect on me when I was quite young. I grew up in a world where, it was the South. There was beef and pork and, everyone's on milk and dairy, and I believed what the advertising said, drink milk, it's good for you, and I got caught up in always wanting to do what I thought was best, but listening to advertisers versus trusting my own body. And when I was 16, I started having these reactions to dairy. Well, I didn't know what the reactions were, but I got very bloated, my skin wasn't nice, my energy was low, and I started discovering at that young age, okay, what is it that I'm putting in my body that my body is not accepting? So that really began my journey to understand that what we do put in our body is like our medicine for ourselves. And I discovered that one of the things I loved the most, which was dairy, was what was affecting me in the worst way. So I went off dairy at about 16 years old, only to grab a pizza in college and have all the reactions happen in my body again. But that started me on the path of just noticing how I felt with what foods I put in my body. So I went on this discovery, and I just learned that I wanted to feel my best always. And I always love my vegetables, but we don't need to mix them with pork fat, right? So like we did in the South. So I started learning and asking questions and testing things in my body, and sort of was my own doctor and what worked for me. And then while I was pregnant with my beautiful daughter Tiffany, I realized that whatever I do put in my body, I'm responsible to this little being that's growing inside of me. So I want to be very cautious. And then I started wanting to eat vegetarian more. I eat about probably 95% vegetarian. I will occasionally have grass-fed organic or kosher beef, not really much fish. But for my body, I think we're all unique, and we have to really listen to and study what works for us. And that mixed with feeling life in your body by being athletic, by taking long walks, by finding a place to sit in the park and meditate, just connecting to the earth. No matter where you are, find some spot of nature where you can ground yourself and connect yourself to your higher self. We're busy little bees in this world, but we need those moments to stop. And those are things I started really discovering as I went through the difficult times in my 20s and 30s. And now that I'm in my, I want to say early 50s. I am in my early 50s, yes. But,
who's counting, right? The soul has no age.
The soul has no age. We sure don't. So it's just such a part of my being, and just listening, and moving forward in what you know is best for you. And my best may not be everybody else's best, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and to be able to understand that and accept that we might not always be able to communicate at the same level that we all are. but to have a level of acceptance or honesty or purity in your personality that you can still listen and appreciate where someone is in life rather than to judge. And would you say that your practice of meditation is playing a very key role in your life to stay firm, to stay stable, and to keep your vision of charting your career forward alive and pretty much on target?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I didn't go into those moments to really connect to the divine flow. And I say this, I was just in the South for really the last few weeks, and I have a few dear friends dealing with children who are going through horrible mental illness issues, and it's heart-wrenching, and this is something we can talk about on another day, and I'm actively looking for solutions for them. But I would speak as you and I were speaking. My dear friend I grew up with in Cahata, Georgia, looks at me and she goes, "I love you so much, but I have no idea what you're talking about." And I said, "Oh my gosh, honey, I'm so sorry. I've been away from God so long. I just think this is how all my friends speak." Talking about connecting to our higher self, talking on the level of, meditation versus what prayer is, or, and how to make yourself a channel and be open to the divine that can flow through. And these were concepts, as a beautiful Christian girl that my friend is, she didn't understand. So it was so wonderful to sit with her and let her. She was so open because she loved me so much, right? And we ended up going into this beautiful place of grace, and just so much prayer was prayed over us, and we went into a place of where she could feel that she is in God's grace and she is being protected, and that so is her child, even in the state that seems so frightening today. She is in that covering of God, and it was just such a beautiful, I say it again, awakening for dear friends of like 50 years to be back together sharing our experiences, but coming back into that place of oneness. So how can we ever judge another person? How can we expect for another person to know what we know? Have they had the same lessons? Have they had the same experiences? Have they had the same guides and teachers and friendships that have framed their lives as we've had?
And isn't it like about the languaging? Because if you look at even meditation, sometimes we might say meditation really is to listen, prayer is to sometimes ask, but sometimes both are required. I need to listen, and I need to sometimes make a request. And it's not a material request, but it's a request that remind me of what my strength is, God. Remind me of the beauty that you had placed in me. Just remind me. So sometimes I think we get bumped up on the languaging and we miss the opportunity of gaining the experience. And so how fortunate for your friend to, come through the portal of trust and friendship to be able to be awakened to something more. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about your philanthropy. You remain committed to serving a variety of nonprofits. You have awarenyc.org, Spirituality for Kids, the Louis Armstrong Center for Music, and much more. Why is giving back so important to you?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, selfishly, it makes me happy.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about how sharing makes us really feel. If we just knew the best way to get out of our depression is to go and help another person, if we can really learn to practice that, and it's not easy. We wake up with our own desires and needs and wants, and sometimes like, oh, goodness, do I need to go to this meeting? Do we need to plan this event? And you're like, yes. Do it. I have been so blessed with so many supportive people that have come in and out of my life during different difficult challenges, and I do want to be able to take what I've learned and share it with other people. And this year with Aware NYC, we're working with an organization that is helping young immigrants in the city, women immigrants, find jobs, get placements, know how to orchestrate through our legal system. We have many doctors and nurses that come in from other countries, and they're just I can't get a job because it won't transfer over here, and so they've got to find a way to get connected with people, and so this is each year Aware NYC picks a women's organization that truly is a grassroots organization that needs the bump up of sisters coming together to help them. So I love this is one of the local groups I work with, and there's other groups that are more international that I feel are doing wonderful work, like Spirituality for Kids, Kids Creating Peace, the Louis Armstrong Center for Music and Medicine is all about the power of music and how it heals. And the research has been done in hospitals here and spread around the world to show how the power of music can help with little preemie babies or people going through, bouts with cancer and depression, and they've been able to raise the funds and continue to do so to prove, the research that this is really a form of healing. And you and I know that because I've heard your beautiful music. Mm-hmm. You've listened to mine, and we just hope like we can just uplift people through whatever they're going through a vibration of sound and music.
Right. It's so easy, right? And a few years ago, you produced the One World of Love benefit album, and I heard that, and I'm suspecting you're a little bit of like an empath, sort of sensitive. You want everybody to get along. Why can't we all get along? Right?
I've been doing this my whole life. I just feel like people are all there with. I have more support now in many ways.
Yeah, we do. We have an army now that's just pushing out the world of darkness.
It is the time. Yeah. It is the time. And yes, I do feel a lot. And it's tricky walking around the streets of New York. You can step into others' emotions and feelings. And at times you do have to protect yourself from that while keeping sensitive and to others. So, yeah, I do. I just feel. I know what it feels like to have a unity, and I've been exposed to the opposite, as a lot of us have, and I really pray that what we're doing and what you're doing and what so many listeners are doing is just going to keep it standing, and as we can hold that collective hearts together, that is going to be the heartbeat for our entire universe.
I believe it, and I know we will. And you've got another album which we'll play at the end of the show, The Endless.
Thank you, with your friends. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Tell us more.
If I'd known you then, I would love to have had you on the album.
We know each other now. I'm working on a new album called The Inner Journey. Perhaps we can add something to it, but yeah, I think the more we can bring our presence, vibrations, authenticity, beautiful music to something, it shifts spirits and take them closer to a God connection. So, Marla, tell our listeners about the Endless album and, what was the genesis of it and what were some of the feelings that you went through while you were producing it?
Well, my daughter was getting older. We're starting to look at colleges, and I would go to bed at night and wake up in the morning and say, God, please use me in the highest and greatest way for what I came into this world to do. And I started waking up with these beautiful, prayers and verses, and I wasn't quite sure, is this a book? Is it lyrics? And then a dear friend named Sprite, who's recently passed, introduced me to a composer named Torsten Stenzel, and I spoke with Torsten, and his music matched my lyric, and we put it together, and it was probably the happiest I've ever been at anything I've done career-wise, artistically. I wasn't thinking career-wise, I was thinking of sharing, but being in the studio and letting myself be a channel and connecting with these other people that I love and respect and saying, what would you want to share with the world if we knew we could, knowing music can awaken. And that song went to Michael, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, Deepak, my friend Guru Tej, and of course, the Dalai Lama and His Holiness, and everyone was able to share something. And for me, it started with one song. The first one, which I have a video for, called "The Pearl," was just a vision that I held about the transformation of the soul, the Shekinah, the female aspect of the soul moving through time. That's what the pearl was about, based on some prophetic word that my father had. And from there, my composer says, we need to get other people. I spoke to Deepak about the album, and he says, let's do one together. So we took a new translation of Rumi and called House of Love, and we did this. He did the spoken word. We created the music behind it, and it won a Hollywood Music and Media Award for Best New Age Ambient Song at the time. So we were like, this is really fun. I love this.
Well, congratulations to that.
Thank you. you just hope that it's that the music is just it can touch the soul, whoever it's supposed to touch. Just it made me feel so good to make it. I was so happy writing and being in the studio and being able to share the messages of people from all different spiritual paths. And I hope that just helps people understand more about others and how other people find God and find their connection.
Let's play Endless Now for everyone to listen and get a feeling of what you felt. How's that?
Ooh, I'm curious which song you're going to play, but I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that track from the Endless album. That was Ancient Footsteps by our guest, the beautiful Marla Maples, talking about life, talking about being in Cahuta, Georgia.
Or Kahata, however you would like to say it.
Kahata,
Cherokee.
I was going to call it Calcutta, so I'm doing much better. And,
well, that's
her philanthropic... Yeah, there we go. Her generosity, her life, the love for music. And so what's next for you? Are there any new projects on the horizon?
Well, I'm back where I was when I wrote the music. I'm just asking, how can I use what I've learned in my life to share more with people? And I hope to be speaking more. I love speaking. I love being in groups and gathering together. So I hope to be doing more speaking. I have my website, marlamaples.com. I'm looking for helpers now to help me expand the sharing there. And I love writing. So those are things right now that are my main focus, while also I'm an actor. So, I've got to support all this in a way that works. So I am just being open to what the blessing is going to be and how I can share. But I look forward to, staying in this conversation with you and others like you and doing more to just bring more people together, because as you say, we got to stop the separation, and keep awakening those who are ready to be awakened, and keep our vibration high. Yeah, and I think I know what you're doing is doing that, and I just really want to be able to be a voice for that myself.
Absolutely. Now, I can't end the show without you lauding over your beautiful daughter, Tiffany Trump. How's she doing? How's she doing at school? I think she's here at Georgetown, right?
She is near you, yes. That's why I told her last night, honey, you got to make a little room for your mom to come visit, because I have other things there I would like to see, too. She has her head to the ground studying so hard. She's her first year at Georgetown Law, so I'm so proud of her. She has such a capacity to want to gain knowledge, and she really is, in that focus stage of her life. And but it's beautiful. She'll call sometimes and say, "Mom, will you pray about this?" I'm like, "I love you so much,"
Oh.
I'm so happy she still knows that, not to get too lost in all that she's having to do on the work front, and just I'm always praying, coverage over her with everything that happens in the media, and she's her own individual soul, and I just hope that she can maintain her own individuality, being brought into the world by a very famous father and a mother who's been known to, and she's just doing her work in the world, and I could not be more proud of her.
Good for her, and congratulations to you for investing so much good in her.
Hey, listen, she came into my life at a time I wasn't expecting a child, but I will tell you the greatest gift that ever came in this world was having that child. So
I can imagine.
So now we go through the journey. We go through the journey of watching them grow, and just it's been hard for me because as a parent, I have one child. Separating is difficult, and that's I may have to write about that some too, because it's hard when you've made your child first, and then suddenly you have to let them really grow their wings and learn to use them. And so we've been going through that the last few years, but it's in a good state now. I've learned to love her, continue to love her, but stop doing the worrying. Stop the worry, just love.
Yeah, and she'll be fine. She's blessed. Leave us and our listeners with a blessing for America and our world.
Oh, dear God, I do. I pray for every soul on this earth to feel the presence of, their own divine love, and know that we are stronger when we're together. But just because those are different, it doesn't mean we have to judge them and attack them. We just have to pray the highest good for everyone, and that's what I ask now. The highest good for all, less judgment, more love.
Marla Maples, thank you so much for joining us on air. You are pretty inside and out.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for everyone.
Same here. So life continues for us. We are in a growing process, the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs. Can you imagine just living a life where you're constantly in front of the limelight? and you're constantly ridiculed, or you're constantly kind of defined by others in a particular way, but you're still navigating. What I loved about Marla is that she's just stayed good, she stayed true, and she's now continuously searching and seeking for higher good, the higher purpose of how to coexist, really, in our planet. So I hope you've enjoyed our conversation today. Please stay tuned for much more. Follow us on our TuneIn, Stitcher, AM Blog Talk Radio, and please keep in touch with me on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you at America Meditate. Remember, no one can take away your happiness unless you give them permission. And we are here to love each other the same. So let's do that. We're ending the show with Marla Maples' song from her endless album, The Pearl. Take care, everyone.
Bye.